What's up, allies? We are back, and I don't think I should do this one alone. There he is!
Where's my sandwich? I had a sandwich!
I'll send you back to your sandwich when we're done.
What am I doing here? How did I end up in the alley?
Well, what you're doing here is that we have some things to discuss. It would seem that Trend has had some activity going on regarding their recent sticker releases, and we're going to talk about it. It's time.
So, you took me from eating a perfectly good BLT and a nice root beer to come and talk about stickers.
Yeah, because this is going to be a test run, so to speak, of what's coming soon to a channel near you. It came from the 80s.
And if you want more, it came from the 80s, they should do three things, Jim.
They should. They should like.
Definitely.
They should share.
Probably.
And most importantly, they should subscribe.
Absolutely, because two of us don't want to... Out of the two of us, I think we both agree that we don't want to work a day job.
That's correct.
Yes.
The evil day job.
The evil day job.
The day job
well,
terrible.
Since you pulled me out of my seat in my wonderful sandwich, what we got going on? I heard we got Trend. They sent you some wonderful stuff. What's up?
Well, let's talk about it. So now, if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, folks, you know that I have been doing reviews on the Trend Enterprises Retro Stinky Sticker line. And right at the end of last month, they put out a bunch more of the stickers.
They did.
Bringing us to 101 stickers of the 110 that originally were out in the 80s. Okay?
Okay, so if you're at home doing the math, 101
Yep.
versus 110,
right,
which means they're missing 9 stickers.
Correct. Now,
so 9 stickers have gone unaccountable.
Well, and initially, when they said this was coming out and what was coming out, no one got too excited. And then they announced these, which is the Retro Remix. Totally different idea, where they've taken an original design, and that would be these 4 right here, and then the other 2 are basically variants of that are new. That's new artwork.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, so then people were like, well, hold on, and in this was 2 very specific ones. 1, the skunk, and 2, this peanut butter sandwich that is now strawberry jam. And the skunk is not skunk, but flower bouquet. And so immediately everyone started to panic and say, does this mean the retro line is done? Are we not going to get these other 9? You know, what's happening here? And initially...
there was a kerfuffle?
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but people were a little concerned. A lot of them were completists, just the way we all are.
Yeah, and I understand the whole completion thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you should have seen me when I was collecting the Mega from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Same thing.
Oh, yeah.
We won't even go there with the whole Battle Bones thing and how much you had to spend for it.
That was chaos.
No.
In fact, there's still footage of me busting that out of the grated container that it was in.
Not Larry's brightest moment, but he,
How else was I supposed to build it? So I relate with you completionists out there. May your sticker dreams come true.
Let's just move on before he gets off on a tangent again. Anyway, so at this point, as people started to discuss it in our little sticker group, I decided, well, I've got a name and a contacted Trend. Why don't I reach out?
Okay.
And they got back to me. And then once I read the corporate speak that they got back to me with and sort of translated it, I'm talking with a few people, and somebody else that's part of the group who had talked to Trend months ago sent a little bit more information to me. And between those 2 things, I've sort of figured out what's going on with what we have termed colloquially the Notorious Nine.
Oh, it's got a name now.
It does. A shout out to Joe who created the Notorious Nine. I can't take credit for that or anything of the sort.
That is great.
But I'm gonna run the stickers here on the screen that are part of the Notorious Nine, and you and I, of course, are going to discuss it. But this way,
I'm showing off the stickers as they come through the screen.
Oh, great. So now I've got to put them in your hands.
Yes.
What you're telling me. Oh, that's completely... I don't... That's extra work for me. You do this to me. Just you and Lairman all the time.
Well, first off, he and I are not the same person because everybody keeps saying they are because you left that in the opening because you're doing the editing, so you obviously know that I am not Lairman. However, it looks cool.
I don't even, we're just, you know what? We're just gonna move on here. Anyway, so when I reached out to Trend,
that's kind of the point.
Yeah. So let me reach out to. I reached out to Trend. This is what they sent back. I'm going to go ahead and read the statement that they sent to me.
Okay.
We've seen some questions from our fans about which vintage Stinky stickers might make a return in our retro line. Are they done? What about such and such sticker? The honest answer? It depends. Each potential vintage sticker is carefully considered. Our goal is to honor the integrity of the original designs while preserving their uniqueness, and at the same time supporting the collectability of both the vintage and retro stickers. The inclusion of the small star shape on the retro stickers is one example of that effort. We also work to match the original scents as closely as possible. If a scent isn't feasible, whether due to safety, sourcing, or shifting standards, it won't move forward for that launch. And while many themes from the past still delight, a few simply don't align with today's sensibilities.
Wait. Safety? They had one that smelled like asbestos?
No. In those cases, we let the nostalgia live in their vintage form, but not in a retro one. In short, we are passionate about bringing back the best of the past while treating the originals and our fans with the respect they deserve. Okay, so that is what Trend could tell me. And the first thing I was curious about was the safety thing.
Yes.
And I noticed that in the original run, there was the peanut butter sandwich that I mentioned.
Okay.
And there was also a peanut.
No.
And this was the second design of a peanut.
I think I'm starting to pick up what you're putting down.
There's technically 3 of them that would have been peanut scented in some way.
That's what I'm picking up.
And so I began to think, well, is there a safety issue with this? So I used the old Google machine.
Oh, because the Google will tell you everything.
Absolutely. And while the Google didn't tell me the answer, what it did was send me to some medical websites that did. And what the medical website said is that scent typically does not cause an allergic reaction.
Okay.
Because it is usually the proteins in the food that you're allergic to that cause the allergy, whereas scent is typically not giving you that protein into your body.
Okay.
So the only real way that scent can do it is if you're cooking with something, and that's throwing those proteins into the air.
Right.
So now I'm thinking, well, this isn't making sense for safety, and this is where Leanna reached out to me and said, hey, I have this information from Trend.
Okay.
And in that information, they indicate that they have been using the same company to design their scents for 40, 50 years now.
Okay.
They have that relationship. And what they explained is that over the years, the technology has altered a bit. Whereas back in our day, they used chemicals to create the scents.
Okay.
Today, most often, they are using things like essential oils and actually getting the stuff from the source in order to create the scents. And now when I got that part of it, that was the part that was missing from the statement I had. Once I had that, it began to make sense that the peanut, if they were using those natural sources, could present a serious problem. And one of the other things that I did read on the website, the medical website, was that although scents in and of themselves oftentimes aren't an allergy source, the anxiety that the scent could create in someone who has a deathly allergy could cause problems in and of itself. And then how do you try to explain that to parents, or worse yet, school-age children, that no, you don't have to be afraid of the scent when they're told to avoid peanuts and everything else. And so from that perspective, all of a sudden it was like, okay, well, of the 9, 3, I get it. They're out the door. I completely understand that. I suppose, and this is the discussion here, do you think, now hearing all this, that it would have been worth Trend trying to find another source of the peanut scent through somebody else when they already have this 50-year relationship with a company? I believe it's 3M, although no one has been able to say one way or the other. I'm almost positive it's 3M that they've had the relationship with.
Well, asking me about 3M, we're not going to have that conversation. Right
Okay.
I have mixed feelings about 3M because they worked on earplugs that didn't work.
Okay, all
And
right.
there was a class action lawsuit there. If you want to look it up, feel free, go ahead. However, I feel that there was an opportunity to find an alternate scent.
Okay.
All right?
Now, when you say an alternate scent, do you mean just having the company create a new scent?
To match with the peanuts?
Yeah, or just a scent entirely like they did with this, with turning it into strawberry jam.
Yeah, you turn it into strawberry jam, or if you want to keep the peanut, that's fine. What about the circus peanut smell?
Ooh, that's a good one. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, because there's alternatives to everything that you do. If not circus peanuts, grape nuts.
Yeah,
You go for the alternate source.
Yeah.
As opposed that way you keep true to the integrity of the line, but you're doing exactly what you did over there. You're just swapping out the ingredients and having a retro remix.
Yeah.
I guess of the package.
Well, they also did. I should point out they did also in the remix line is this peanut, but it's caramel scented.
Yeah, see what I mean?
So I think that's kind of what you're talking about.
Right.
Is that's what they're doing here, or this. Instead of the skunk smell, it's now been turned into a flower, and they added the flowers to the little guy there. And to be truthful, if I'm being honest, once I understood that things changed with the way they source the scents, I mean, what are they supposed to do? Grab a skunk and stick needles in it? I mean, that's terrible. I mean, there's no reason.
No,
for
they
that. freak
freak it out so it can spray, and they hold out a sheet.
Yeah.
And they're like, there we go.
Yeah,
Send this to the kids.
Sure. So I mean, I maybe it's just me, but I kind of prefer it with the flower scent than the skunk scent. Maybe that's just me.
Well, you're also talking to somebody whose favorite sticker is Mr. Yuck. So
That one, blessedly, is not scented.
no, but it could be.
What would it smell like?
Yuck.
I'm not even going to try to define what yuck smells like, but in any case, so then that covers those. We've covered the skunk basically.
Right.
There's a handful of other ones. Rope being one of them. Yes, rope had a scent back in those days.
All right.
They haven't done that one. What are the other ones that I'm missing here?
Rope, you could just get nylon and try to figure out some sort of smell to that.
I would think so, or something like that. Then there was an old design, much like I said, the peanut change. There was also an old design for bubble gum.
Okay.
I don't know that it's worth bringing that out and redoing the scent, but maybe you could do it. It was a chiclet smell or something that was different.
Well,
what
would be fun with that is if you did different flavors.
That's true.
Kind of like a pack of gum.
Yeah, or you could change the color because it was a pink color. You could change the color to whatever, make it like juicy fruit or whatever.
Well, spearmint, peppermint.
Sure.
You have a variety of different options for that.
Yeah, they could definitely remix that, so to speak. Probably the biggest one that I think is interesting is there was one sticker called Pilgrim. And it was an anise type scent or licorice type scent. Now, here's the thing about that sticker, is that on the sticker it does have a pilgrim. Mm-hmm. It also has a Native American. But the Native American is in traditional feathers and that sort of thing.
It's very, very kindergarten, what is the phrase that I'm looking for? Thanksgiving-esque.
Yeah, but certainly not within keeping with
The
current understandings. I think we were not using the term Native American at that time.
You know what? It'd be a good idea if you took an image of that sticker and put it in right here.
I intend to. There will be the image so that you can see what we're talking about. And although on its own, I don't think the sticker is particularly offensive, I can understand where some people might see that, and given today's current feelings, that they would feel some type of way about it. And as a company, why does Trend want to put themselves in that scenario? But
what if they edit the Indian out?
Well, so that was sort of my question.
The Native American.
And if we edit the Native American out, and instead perhaps put another pilgrim, and then we've already done the scent of licorice several times in this line. Why not switch it up and do a remix? Why not have it be cranberry sauce or
pumpkin pie?
Pumpkin pie was never in the original.
There you go. Or turkey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yes.
I want to get back to my sandwich.
Right. I mean, I think any of these things would be a reasonable consideration for that, and I think it works. So now, given everything that we've heard here, I have to say that as a collector of these stickers, at first I was sort of like, well, this kind of stinks that we're not going to get all of them. But then after I thought about it and I got this information, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, no, you know what? This makes sense, and I don't really have an issue with any of this in particular. I don't think it's really that big a deal. I hadn't considered the different ideas for the peanut the way you had. That circus peanut is really, I think that's very interesting. I think that could be really cool.
I think with the right creative mind and the creative outlet, you could really, really push that.
Yeah.
But finding alternatives to stickers, and I can understand why they don't want to release it, because, time moves on, and as time moves on, people's emotions and attitudes towards certain things change. Much like, the Pilgrim and the Native American, and history comes alive, and you don't want to, you want everybody to be accepting and inclusive in what you're doing, not just tolerate something.
Yeah.
Like you and I had that conversation earlier. I also, coming from, I'm not a complete collector. However, those controversial pieces, they do something.
They do, and like in the case of the Pilgrim sticker, I have 2 full sheets of it at home, in addition to a bunch of loose ones as well. I think I even have one in the package, actually. So, for me, the fact that we may not be getting it with this line doesn't really...
You still got it.
Yeah, and I'm not really all that concerned about it. I have it. And, certain sense in this line, they did change, and it makes sense why. They said changing sensibilities. I talk about it in the reviews. If you want to go back and look at them, please do. The original what they called party time sticker would look like 3 candles. And that sticker back in the day smelled like, and because I barely remember them, I don't know if you remember them at all, like the old just beeswax scent candle that didn't really have a scent in it. It had that very odd smell. You know what I'm talking about?
In fact, my mom had a beeswax candle, and I kept pushing into it because the wax and the thing, my fingerprints would get all over it.
Yeah, well, they of course changed that because no kid today would have any idea what that scent is. They just wouldn't. And so they changed it to be more in line with like a Yankee candle, and I think it made sense.
Well, at that point, Are they producing the sticker collections for adults, or is it for the children?
Well, I would say that it's a combination of both.
And there's the rub.
Yeah, in the information, not that they sent me, but that they sent the other person I'm talking about. I don't really want to say names because I don't know if they're okay with it. That particular letter they mentioned for kids and as what they call kidults, which I thought was a really cute play on words. I really like that. And, I just, here again, I think that even in the cases where, here, you've got a company that they've worked with for 40, 50 years, right? They have, in that interim, they have changed the way they do scents. And now they're trying to do everything they can to try and match those old scents using a different method of doing so. Now knowing that and looking at what they've accomplished out of those 101 stickers, there's maybe... 3 that may have missed the mark, and maybe a couple more that were different because they've changed them dramatically.
Still not a bad average.
Yeah, exactly my point. When you look at everything they were up against trying to do that, I think they just did an extraordinary job. I really, really do. And now they're moving into these retro remixes. And I don't know about you, but I look at this and I'm thinking to myself, man, there's so much opportunity here to now go back and try different things. Or perhaps continue the retro line, but do it with new scents and new designs that never happened. Or, hey, Trend, if you're listening, listen, I fail to believe that back in the day when they were doing R&D, research and development, for those of you not in the know, I fail to believe that they didn't have certain designs that they were like, nah, we're not going to use that one. Or that they had a design and they really loved it, but the scenting company said, I'm sorry, guys, we can't do this. And why not revisit that now? Why not pull those out of the archive and say, hey, let's try this?
I still want to know who thought anus would be a good smell.
No, anise. Anise, that's
what I said, anus.
No, that's not what you said. No, that's totally different.
Yeah, I used to deliver anus on the regular. I put the box of anus in my truck, and then I drive the produce, and then I'd load the tomatoes and the anus along with it. And it's just horribly smelling. And it's green and sticky and weird. And then I took the anus, and I'd put it in the cooler, and I'd close the cooler, and they would sign for their anus.
We're going to get demonetized. We really are. Anyway, I don't even know where to go from that one, honestly.
Well, what you did was an excellent exploratory view of what came out, what hasn't come out, the reason why it hasn't come out, the value of why it hasn't come out, because they're in fear. Well, they're not really in fear. They just it's the changing of the tides.
I feel like it's a company trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ultimately, when you read these letters, it paints the picture of a company that's trying to do everything they can to bring the collector what they want, to keep the line relevant for young people today, in order to make sure that it stays. We say on this show all the time that we like to be gate openers, not gatekeepers. Part of this is making sure that the next generation of kids has the same level of love for this that we do.
They are maximizing family fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is trends that as far as trend. If you're hearing me, your main goal of your company is to maximize wholesome family fun for everybody, and I feel that they would agree with me that would be their mission statement.
Certainly part of it, I would think, at a minimum, and I would think the other one would be providing teachers with resources.
Oh, absolutely,
to help with their job.
Who needs?
Kay, if you see this, don't listen to him. He loves teachers. He's
kidding.
He's kidding. But this is where we're at now. I do have reviews coming for both the remix and for the latest set of retros. I'm getting there. Larry can tell you we've been super busy. I swear to God they're coming.
Oh, if you watch the last show, you'll come to realize that what we thought was just a little pile.
No,
we created a mountain.
Yeah,
since last time we talked to you. Speaking of which, of creating a mountain, you did a wonderful job. I am pleased as punch that this is coming out. Actually, punch would be a nice little.
Boy, that would be a good one.
Wouldn't that?
Fruit punch of some kind
punch
or whatever.
Of some sort?
Yeah, that would be a good one. They have like a cherry punch, but a fruit punch would be a neat remix. A neat remix.
Lemonade.
Lemonade would be a good one. One of the other ones that they did not release, part of that Notorious Nine, was ketchup. And
for good reason.
I like ketchup.
Well, I am sorry.
Anyway, I was going to say that changing that into mustard might be an interesting thing.
That would go. I would.
Or if they can come up with the ketchup eventually, having the ketchup and the mustard.
And then you get a hot dog and a hamburger.
We already have a hot dog and a hamburger.
Well, then there you go.
So you got the whole thing.
Then you get lettuce and tomato and a fresh bun, and then you could have
They have tomato.
Oh, they have the tomato.
They don't have the lettuce, but of course lettuce doesn't really smell like much.
No.
And they also have onion.
They have onion.
So, garlic they don't have.
Garlic they don't have.
Garlic would be a good one. I think baby powder would be another good one. I'm surprised they never did that one. That was pretty popular scent in Scratch and Sniff stickers back then.
Baby powder would be very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a variety of places that they could go. One place that I would like to go is back to my house. You left me in front of a sandwich. It's probably cold now. You want to get me out of here so I can go back to my house?
All right.
Bye, everybody!
Alone at last. Well, allies, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you got something out of it. We will see you shortly with our next episode for Season 4, Season 2. Lots of great stuff coming. The podcasts are coming. We do finally have the camera issue figured out and everything. They are soon to be here. So until then, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time, allies.